as long as our economy and political systems prioritize profit without considering who is profiting, who is being shut out, we will perpetuate this inequality. So we cannot stop at criminal justice system. We must begin the work of dismantling the whole system of oppression wherever we find it.
Welcome to the Voice of Liberty. Tonight we're going to talk Somalia. And why are we going to talk Somalia? As you just saw, Representative Ilhan Omar earlier today was presenting a speech on equality, on breaking down inequality, and on breaking down systemic racism, not only in our economy, but within our form of government and our way of handling the carryings-ons of our government. Of course, that little tiny clip is a part of a 44-minute long speech. That little tiny clip was cut and spread by by the Daily Wire and by Ilhan Omar's Republican opponent, Lacey Johnson. That little clip, man, it sounds a little scary. It sounds a little disturbing. Break down the system. Tear it down. Tearing down the economy. Dismantling it. Sounds really scary when you don't listen to what came before and after that speech, that little clip. See, Ilhan Omar has been in the heads of Republicans and their friends for a long time. Why is she in their heads? Well, she's the first Somali-born representative in America. She's the first immigrant to be a representative in America. She's the first Muslim woman to sit in the House of Representatives. All of these things, of course, don't sit well with the staunch white conservative evangelicals. See, a woman of Muslim faith, of Somali descent, that screams terrorist to them. It's not the first time that the right has attacked Ilhan Omar. It's not the last time they will either. See, the right has a history of going after Ilhan Omar, even going as far back as when Donald Trump tweeted a highly edited and faked video of Ilhan Omar dancing on 9/11. Donald Trump has many times gone after Ilhan Omar, accusing her of being a sleeper cell or a terrorist or something far more nefarious. And of course, today, a short little clip taken out of context, retweeted by the Daily Wire, ignited Twitter. For approximately 3.5 hours, Somalia was trending on Twitter. And it wasn't trending for good reasons. I'm sure everybody that watches this knows exactly where I'm about to go. It was trending on Twitter because white, racist evangelicals started calling for her to go back to Somalia, started calling for her to go home, started calling for her to leave this country, to go back to Somalia, and to set up the system of government she seeks. Places like the Daily Wire and PragerU, places are opponents like Lacey Johnson, they know exactly what they have to do to dog whistle to the groups they seek to gain the attention of. See, they know that their people will read this at surface value. They know their people will listen to this at surface value and just believe whatever they say is happening. And they'll retweet it, and they'll send it out, and they'll call for her to go home to Somalia, and they'll call for her to leave without even looking at what came prior to, a minute prior in the video and a minute after in the video, without looking into the speech where she clearly talks about stopping systemic racism and ending injustices in the American system as a whole. When she talks about tearing down the economy based on where profits go and who retains those profits, she's not calling for the tearing down of the U.S. economy at this surface level, at this macro level. She's referring to a very small area, specifically businesses that support racism and systemic racism and help continue systemic racism need to be looked at. Their profits need to be looked at. The motive for their profits need to be looked at. That's exactly what she's saying. When she talks about tearing down our political structure, she's talking about the systemic racism built into our political structure. Talk to anybody that has a functioning brain, and we recognize that the government, as it is, has systemic racism sown throughout it. She's not calling for the dismantling of the United States government. I hate to say this, she's a Democrat. And more Democrats than not support the status quo. She's calling for the dismantling of the systemic racism sown throughout our government at the federal, state, and local levels. She's calling for us to look at the problems and to actually solve the problems, not just ignore them. This isn't enough for her challengers. This isn't enough for her people, though. The people against her, they got to spin it. They got to get people fired up against her. Because she's a person of color, because she's Muslim, because she's of Somali descent. They have to get fired up about that. Because if they don't get fired up about that, they're not going to be able to get the people behind them. If they don't dog whistle about the Somali American in the House of Representatives, if they don't dog whistle about the Muslim who is in the House of Representatives, their people aren't going to support them. But when they dog whistle about this, which, by the way, puts her life in danger, then they get behind her and they support her, and they get behind whoever's saying it, and they support them and they defend them, and then they go on the attack against her. Ilhan Omar was attacked by her opponent, Lacey Johnson, in a tweet. Lacey Johnson said, "Today my opponent, Ilhan Omar, called for the dismantling of everything that's good for America. She called for the dismantling of the U.S. economy and political systems. Please retweet and contribute to my campaign below." Let's break this tweet down for a second. Right here in this tweet, Lacey Johnson's trying to say that systemic racism in the economy and in our government is good for America. That the way the system functions, putting down minorities, is good for America. He's not wrong. It is good for America. White America. The America that he's pandering to. The people he's pandering to are the ones that want white America. They don't want a Somali-born Muslim woman in the House of Representatives. They don't want a Somali-born Muslim woman in any part of Congress. They don't want a Somali-born Muslim woman in state legislature or in a local election. In fact, they don't want a Muslim at all, or anybody Somali-born, because that's dangerous. They think how Donald Trump has told them to think that she is related to 9/11 when she's not. Michael Knowles of the Daily Wire and PragerU said in a tweet, "Ilhan Omar is openly calling for the dismantling of the whole system, our entire economy and political systems, which she ludicrously attacks as systems of oppression." Why is she still permitted in Congress? Why is she still permitted in this country? Dog whistling. Dog whistling to the base that likes Daily Wire. Dog whistling to the base that likes PragerU. Dog whistling to Trump's base. Dog whistling to those who don't want her here. See, again, even he, and I'm not surprised because he works for Daily Wire, even he didn't care about what happened before or after this short segment. This is how this goes. We've seen this for 3 years now. Why is she still permitted in Congress? Because she is actually attempting to do something to fight the systemic racism. That's why she's allowed in Congress. Why is she still permitted in this country? because she is a legal citizen of this country. But that clicks with the base. The base wonders why Muslims are allowed in this country. The base wonders why this country allows immigration from Muslim countries. That's what Trump tried doing with his Muslim ban. And, well, we see how it's going. We can't have this dog whistling occurring any longer. I don't support a lot of what Ilhan Omar says, but I do support the idea of dismantling systemic racism both in our economy and in our government. Because even though I'm a libertarian, even though I'm an anarchist, even though I seek to see the elimination of the federal government in my time, I recognize that will never happen. I recognize that it's not possible. And so I'd like to see us work out the flaws and try to fix it so long as it has to exist. Be a voice of liberty. Awaken the voice of liberty.